So you are ready to learn a new breaking pitch. That is so exciting, but it begs the question, which pitch do you start with? We're gonna answer that and more in today's video, so make sure you stick around. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Plus Ultra Pitching. Today, we are going to be talking about how to choose which breaking pitch is the best one to start with. Just for reference, when I say breaking pitch, I mean a pitch that is going to move. So if you're pitching it down the middle, it's going to move and curve to the outside corner, or curve to the inside corner, or maybe rise and break up, or drop and go down. So it's a pitch that has movement to it intentionally. How do you know when you're ready to start a breaking pitch? For me, I start pitchers when they have a really solid foundation in their fastball mechanics, also throwing strikes at least 70 to 80% of the time in practice sessions, and can hit strikes between 50 to 60% of the time in game situations with their fastball. I also expect my pitchers to at least know and have a changeup and be proficient at throwing a changeup before learning a breaking pitch. This means that they've chosen a changeup, it is consistently slow, and they can throw it for a strike between 60 to 70% of the time in practice sessions and between 40 to 50% of the time in game situations. There is one time that I have an exception to these rules, where I will teach a pitcher a breaking pitch before they can consistently throw their fastball for a strike in games, for example. But you're only going to be able to get that answer if you are a member, so make sure you check out our membership page to learn about my one exception. Otherwise, those two benchmarks I mentioned earlier are great places to get started to figure out which breaking pitch will be best for you. So I took to YouTube and Instagram to ask you guys what pitch you either learned first as a pitcher, or what pitch you typically teach first if you are a coach. Let's see what the results were. So from YouTube, we had 37% of people who learned or teach a curveball first, 11% a screwball, 41% a dropball, 4% riseball, and 7% is other. We had someone who almost made their own pitch, so that was pretty cool. On Instagram, players in particular, what pitch they typically learn first. We had 20% learn their curveball first, 20% learn a screwball first, 15% learn a riseball first, and 45% learn a dropball as their first breaking pitch. For coaches, the first pitch that most people teach when they are a coach is a drop ball. We had 67% of people teach a drop ball first, followed by 22% of coaches teaching a curveball first. And then we had a tie at 6%. 6% of coaches teach a screwball first, and 6% of coaches teach a riseball first. Make sure you keep watching to see what pitch I normally teach my pitchers first. I wanted to give you all a quick announcement before I actually get into this video, and that is, you will notice that I am not going to name any pitches until the very end of our video. What I mean by this is, as we move through and I'm introducing you to all these different breaking pitches and how to perform all of the spins, I'm gonna refer to them as option 1, option 2, option 3, and option 4. The reason for this is because I decided to structure this video the same way that I would structure a pitching lesson with one of my students. And I purposely keep every single pitch a mystery from them, because I don't want them coming in with a bias for what pitch they think is going to be cool to throw, or which one they think that they should throw first. I want them to go through the whole process. I want them to practice every single spin. I want them to see which one feels the most natural for them, and also allows them to consistently find success. Which spin and which pitch do they have the easiest time getting the correct spin every single time? So because of this, as you move through this video, it's gonna roll the same exact way that I roll through my lessons. So I'm gonna keep all the pitches a mystery. We have 3 separate progressions using 3 separate pitching tools. And at the very end of this video, we will reveal what these pitches are, just like I would reveal them with my pitchers. I hope you all enjoy, and Let's get into it. So today we are going to have two people to help us out. We are going to have Coach Courtney, who is going to walk us through our progression, and we're going to have pitcher Courtney, who is ready to learn her first breaking pitch. There are a couple tools that I like to use when I first introduce pitchers to a breaking pitch. And before I introduce these tools to you, I do want to preface with saying that any links that I share in my description or in my video itself are affiliate links. They're just found on Amazon, but if you decide to purchase it using these links, then a portion will go to support Plus Ultra Pitching at no extra cost to you. The first tool that I introduce to my pitchers is this spinning softball on a stick. This is exactly what it sounds like. There's a stick, there's a softball attached to it. The stick acts as an anchor, so the softball can only spin in two directions. This has been amazing to help pitchers feel the way their fingers should manipulate the ball without all of the struggles of trying to get the perfect spin on the first try. Let's see how we can use this tool when we are learning new breaking pitches. Option number one, coaches are going to hold the spin stick by the handle with the softball facing up towards the sky. Our pitchers are going to grip this with their pointer finger, their middle finger, and their thumb. Each one is going to go on the left side of a seam. Not a theme, of a seam. And they are going to start with their thumb facing in towards their hip, and they are going to spin their hand around the ball like they're opening or closing a doorknob next to their body, keeping their fingertips facing down towards the ground the whole time. And they are going to finish with their thumb facing out towards the side. So we start with the thumb facing in towards the body, we finish with the thumb facing out towards the side. The next option we are going to do, coaches are going to hold, again by the handle, horizontal. So now the ball is going to be facing towards our pitchers. The pitchers are going to grip the ball the same exact way they did on the last option. This time they are going to start with their thumb facing up, or with their palm facing up, thumb facing back behind their body, and they are going to let their middle finger and their thumb travel over the top of the ball and finish with their thumb and palm both facing down towards the ground. The next option, I actually let pitchers hold this thing for themselves. What they are going to do is hold it by the handle, so now the ball is facing down. They're going to grip the ball the same way we did for the last two options, and this time they're going to start with their palm facing up towards the sky, and they are going to wrap their thumb around and point their pointer finger towards their opposite hip. So for righties, your pointer finger is going to point towards your left hip. For lefties, your pointer finger is going to point towards your right hip. One thing I do want to make note of here is that we want to make sure that we are only using our fingers to spin the ball and that we are not getting our whole arm and shoulder involved. This is all about creating spin and figuring out which spin and which snap is most natural and comfortable for your pitcher, not about how much power we can get behind it at this moment in time. Let's talk about our last option. So we went through options 1, 2, and 3. Option number 4, again, coaches are going to hold our spin stick. This time we are going to hold it horizontal again, just like we did for option number 2. And pitchers are going to grip the ball the same way that they did for options 1 through 3. So we're staying consistent here. And what pitchers are going to do is they're going to start with their fingertips facing towards us as coaches. They are going to lead with their pinky. So their pinky is going to come forward and turn a doorknob, which is going to allow their thumb to move towards the back. So we're going to start with thumb forward. Our pinky is going to initiate this movement, and we're going to turn the doorknob so that the thumb faces towards the back of their body when they're doing the snap. For this next progression, we move on from the spin stick to this spin right, spinner, spin disc. I also want to give a quick shout out to Ariana, whose father reached out a little while ago asking if I use this and if I think it's worth it. And my answer is I use this all the time. So definitely worth it, especially when you're learning a new breaking pitch. So let's see how we use this tool, this spin disc, to learn a new pitch. The next tool we're going to use is this spin disc, which will allow the pitcher to manipulate the spin, see and make sure that the spin is going in the correct orientation, but without trying to have a full-on softball and trying to force a strike. So for this, option number one, actually for all the options, the easiest way that I found to grip these spin discs, which come with seams, which is really helpful, is the same way that we grip the spinning softball on the stick, but this time instead of involving our ring finger, I usually will involve my middle finger instead. Meaning our pointer finger, our middle finger, and our thumb are going to be the three most important. We're going to put all three of them on the left side of a seam on the spin disc and then just rest the other two comfortably on the side. We're going to do this for all of the pitches for right now, so it's simple. And so that way your pitcher can feel themselves pulling on the seams of the pitch. So let's start with option number one. For option number one, we are starting with all our fingertips down towards the ground and our thumb facing in towards our body. Our pitchers are going to initiate by pulling the thumb, or rather pushing the thumb away from their body, kind of like a hitchhiker. And we should get a nice horizontal spin with the spinner. Now, coaches and parents, you may notice that I am not necessarily talking about our foot and lower body positioning at this point, because the goal here, again, just to reiterate, is for our pitchers to feel the snap and the finger movement for each of these pitches. Once you agree on and decide what breaking pitch to move forward with, then we will talk about lower body and just total body mechanics and positioning. Let's check out option number two. For option two, we're going to have our pitcher hold it the same way we did for option number one. What we're going to do is start with our palm facing up towards the sky, thumb is facing out, fingers facing out. We are going to come over this spin disc so that our palm and our thumb are facing towards the ground. We want to almost force this to spin down into the ground. You should get a nice vertical forward spin on the spin disc. Now let's talk about option number three. We are going to, again, be holding the spin disc the same exact way that we did for the first two options. Fingertips facing up, palm up towards the sky. What we're going to do is push our thumb against the seam forward so that our pointer finger will point to our opposite hip. So I'm a righty, meaning that when my pointer finger points, my right finger is going to point towards my left hip, my left pocket. This one, we want to be a horizontal spin. Now, coaches, your pitchers may start asking what they suspect some of these pitches and spins might be. It's really important not to tell them. I don't tell them the pitch until we have agreed which option is the best, because I don't want any biases coming into their decision or them trying to force themselves to throw a certain pitch because for whatever reason, maybe they think it's cool or it's their dream pitch. We want to make sure we are all going in here objectively as possible so that we're choosing the best possible pitch for our pitchers. Let's see option number four. Holding it the same exact way, we're going to have our pitchers start right next to their hip again. This time, fingertips are facing out to the side of us. Thumb is kind of up towards the sky / towards their catcher. What we're going to do is bring our pinky forward, which will turn our thumb, again, just like you're opening a doorknob right next to you. Try not to do that. You are going to snap and release, and the goal here is to get a vertical backward spin. So just to recap with our spin disc, put it back to Coach Courtney. What kind of spins are we looking for? With option number one, we are looking for a clockwise horizontal spin. For option number 2, we are looking for a vertical downward spin. For option number 3, we are looking for a counterclockwise horizontal spin. And for option number 4, we're looking for a backwards vertical spin. Once you have gone through this, check in with your pitcher and see if there are any spins that don't feel comfortable or are really hard for her to get, or if you've observed any as a coach, and let's eliminate those. There's no need to move forward with them if it's not going to be the choice at this point. Just make sure to remind your pitcher that just because you're eliminating it now doesn't mean that she will never learn that pitch. It just means it's not going to be the pitch that she is learning this time around. So once you've done that, come back and we will finally pick up a softball. Last but not least, we are going to finally use a real softball to learn a breaking pitch. And I like to use softballs that have a stripe on it. So this stripe, I just put electrical tape on a softball, and the stripe acts the same way that this spinner does. You can imagine that these are going to be the same plane. So when you're throwing the softball, the orientation of the stripe should match the orientation of the spin disc that we were just using. Let's see how we use this to decide once and for all which breaking pitch we are going to learn. Once you have narrowed down which ones you want to progress with, now we are going to use this with a real softball. For this video, I'm still going to be going through all 4 options because it's a YouTube video and I want to show you guys what all 4 options will look like. But just know at this point, normally my pitchers have narrowed it down to 1 or 2 options to move forward with. So don't feel like you and your pitcher are going to be doing all 4 at this point in your progression. I like to use a striped softball for this, so that way we can still see the spin. This still works perfectly fine with a regular softball. You don't need a stripe. Sometimes it's just nice for the pitcher to be able to see the spin that they're looking for, but you don't need it. Let's get started with option number 1. For option number 1, there are a couple different ways to hold some of these pitches. We are going to get into grips in future videos when we really narrow in on each particular pitch specifically. For this video, we're just looking again for snap, what one is most comfortable for your pitcher. So we're going to hold option number 1 just like we did with the spinning softball on a stick. So we got our ring finger, our pointer finger, and our middle and our thumb. Ring, pointer, thumb. They're each going to go on the left side of a seam. We are going to have our hand right next to our body, thumb facing in towards our hips, and we are going to kind of again create a hitchhiker thumb. So our thumb is going to go from facing towards our body to away from our body. For option number 2, we are going to hold the ball the same exact way and let our pitcher pitch it. Again, this time we're trying to snap this one into the ground. Our pitcher is going to start hand next to body, palm up, thumb back, and we are going to snap over the ball so our thumb ends up facing down towards the ground. And just as a reminder, we're looking for a vertical downward spin. Let's see option number 3. Holding the ball the same exact way. This time, palm is going to be facing up next to our hip. All fingertips facing up towards the sky. Thumb is going to push and wrap around. Our pointer finger is going to point to the opposite hip. We're looking for a counterclockwise horizontal spin. Let's see our 4th and final option with the softball. Holding the softball the same way that we did for the first 3 options. This time, our palm is going to be facing out and away from us. Thumb is going to be facing kind of towards our catcher / up towards the sky. Pinky's going to lead and come up as we snap our thumb back to create a backwards vertical spin. The ball actually almost went behind me. I like that. That's how you know you're getting a strong, aggressive backward spin. At this point, you have gone through the whole progression and have eliminated pitches throughout. And if you haven't, then by the time you reach this point at the end of the last progression, you and your pitcher probably have a good idea of which pitch is going to be the best moving forward. I always ask my pitcher, after we've narrowed down and eliminated pitches along the way, which spin felt the most natural and felt good for you, for them as the pitcher. And they usually have an answer. They usually know as they're going through which one works best. And then you as a coach can share your observations. Which option did you notice that she had the best spin, the tightest spin, or could consistently get the correct spin without showing too many signs of extra effort to get it? And once you guys have that conversation and you agree on which option is the best out of options 1, 2, 3, and 4, now is the exciting part in the lesson at the very end where we can finally reveal what pitch we are throwing. So the options that we went through today are option 1 was a screwball, option 2 was a drop ball, option 3 was a curveball, and option 4 was a riseball. So screwballs will break into the inside corner for a right-handed batter. Drop balls will drop, so they'll start on one plane, and then by the time they reach the catcher's glove, they should drop lower. Curveballs should break to the outside corner to a right-handed batter, and rise balls will do the opposite of a drop ball. They'll come in on a certain plane and then rise up to a higher plane by the time it hits the catcher's glove. I have noticed since doing this that most beginner pitchers are most comfortable with throwing either a screwball or a drop ball first. And I've noticed that usually more advanced pitchers are more comfortable throwing curveballs and rise balls, or if they've already learned a pitch, then they find more success in learning a curveball or a rise ball. All that being said, the reason that we go through this progression is because every pitcher is different, and I have had pitchers who excel learning the rise ball first. So I think it's really important for you to go through this with your pitcher and for you guys to agree which one will be best for her. She'll be bought in, you'll be bought in, and it's going to be a great starting point for all of you. Now, if you have not already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because we will be putting out tutorials for how to throw each one of these pitches. Like this video if you enjoyed it, so that we can help pitchers and coaches around the world learn how to pitch. If you are considering supporting Plus Ultra Pitching, we do offer channel memberships where members can have access to member-only videos, including my one exception for when I will teach a breaking pitch to a pitcher early. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter at plusultrapitching.com. You'll get a lot of tips and tricks from me that I don't necessarily share on YouTube, and the newsletter is completely free. That's what we have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and leave in the comments below which pitch you learned first, what pitch you normally teach first, or after you've gone through this progression, which one you are learning first. Keep in mind, you can also use this progression anytime you're ready to learn a new breaking pitch. It doesn't have to just be for your first pitch. So if you're learning a new one, say you already have a screwball, just do the whole progression without the screwball so you can again narrow down what the best choice is going to be for you and your pitcher. With that, I will see you guys all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, Plus Ultra!